light. And so one of the things that I wanted to talk about, the heart of it is that so often we're waiting. There's this idea about revival, that we're waiting for someone else to push us into a place of revival, for a mighty man of the Lord to lay hands on us and commission us into revival, or for a mighty sweep of the Spirit to move us in. But I feel like we're called to break off that lie, even today, and say that it's actually on us. We can have this as individuals to come into a place of revival. I feel like when we see revivals, whether it's we hear about them in our contemporary time, we've lived through some things, or we read about them, it's simply people who decided to be like Jesus as individuals first, and they came together as a corporate body, and they began to express Jesus as a corporate body, right? This is it. And so I just feel like we have to begin to address that, and it's on us as individuals. And there can be this false sense of God's sovereignty that we're just waiting on something to happen. First of all, if we're waiting on something, we're more concentrated on lack, what we lack than what we possess already, right? So, but this is what we're not called to be. We begin in everything in Christ, right? And it's simply a matter of like acknowledging that we have it and beginning to act on it. So Pastor Roger, thank you. You are so encouraging. Anytime, I don't know if, Jeff, I don't know if you've ever noticed, so whenever Roger has people speak, if you look over at Pastor Roger, the entire time, he's just smiling and just like so into it. It's just incredible. Sometimes Maisie and I look over and we're like, look at Roger. He's just so encouraging. Like you carry it to such an extent. And it's such a beautiful thing. Encouragement, I mean, yes, come on. Give it up for Roger. What an encourager. So there were 4 things that I felt like the Lord highlighted just in the greater theme of let's begin to take more responsibility to steward our own selves as individuals and just beginning to discern at a new level. And one of them I wanted to talk about just very briefly is getting in the Word. And I feel like often as charismatics or different, wherever we're coming from, we can end up valuing teachings, or we can end up valuing, Bill Johnson teachings or Mike Bickle teachings or whatever. And these things are, to have wisdom from men of the Lord who've spent such time with the Lord is powerful. But there's something that the Lord wants to do in us, I think, in this season of time where we begin to commit ourselves anew to the Word. And there's nothing like the Word and learning to feed from it. I've heard a lot of sermons on this, and a lot of times, like growing up, there was like a lot of the sermons were like, just get in the Word, and there was this kind of pushing aspect to it. And I feel like we can teach things in 2 ways. We can either teach them from a place of like discipline and responsibility, like it's your responsibility to do it, or we can show people that it actually tastes good, right? So there's 2 ways I could get my friend Stuart Luck to go over to that piano, right? So he's sitting right here in the black. We've been friends for 5 years. I could, get some kind of bat out and beat him, but he'd probably turn the bat around and beat me up. Wouldn't be a good idea. Or I could put a bunch of bacon on that piano, and that man would be over there like this, okay? And so what we have to do because we're all ministers of the gospel, right? We're all called to empower others. We've got to show people that things taste good. So I wanted to just like do just a little activation. Actually, there was how many of you guys know Gateway Church in Dallas, Texas? So it's a solid place. A friend came into town. He had gone to a conference there, and he said, Matt, I was talking to some of the leadership there, and they have like 10,000 people. It's Dallas. It's Texas, okay? And so, yeah, everything's big, right? So, and he was saying they did a study because they of what Bible study or what method of study has the best results. So they did all kinds of books, all kinds of different curriculum, and they were going to do it for 6 months. They're going to run it for 6 months and they've got 500 small groups. But they stopped at 3 months in, and they said, listen, we discovered the best way, so we're just going to stop. We're going to have everybody do this. And it was simply this. You take a book of the Bible, you read through it 1 chapter at a time, and every time you get to a promise, you take time as your group to claim it individually over your lives, to pray it over. If somebody has if there's a kind of a residue of something there, you pray over it, you pray into them. And then over the course of 3 months, no matter where you started, if you were a drug addict, whatever you had, you had gone through a divorce, that you had seen incredible results in your life. And it's so simple, right? And it's not to say we shouldn't be feeding on other things, but it is to say that there's nothing like the Word